morning. Good morning and welcome back to Living on a UK State Pension. My name's Tanya, I'm 68 years old, and for this next year I'm going to be living on my UK State Pension and saving my civil service pension to bolster the savings that I have gone through like water in the last 2 years, but mainly in the last 6 months when I had some really big purchases. Anyway, let's move on. But before because this is an introduction to tea loaf and the curtain hack that I use in my lounge in order to get my curtains looking more expensive than they are for a £40 pair of curtains. And it works because you can still draw your curtains, and when you push them back, they stay in place beautifully. So, a couple of things from the vlog about budgeting, etc. A couple of people wrote on there that you can get your state pension weekly. You can apply for it so you get it paid on a weekly basis. Someone else obviously mentioned about the council tax thing. Like I said, if you ever get behind, get hold of the council tax people straight away. That's the most important thing, and you won't be billed for the rest of the year then. Ignoring it and you could get yourself into a lot of trouble basically. Now, what else was I'm trying to think of what other things people said. I should have written them down. I have written them down somewhere, but you know what? I have got so many bits of paper all over the place at the moment. I am busy. The channel is keeping me busy, which yes, I like. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, it's the planning side. I mean, in context, some of my things are probably going to be, you know, if I had a continuity person here, they'd be shaking their head. Because I don't always know the order till I see them up where I'm going to schedule things. Anyway, I don't want to keep prattling on, but one very good thing that I believe it was a gentleman actually said, that he alters through his bank account. He makes sure that he can only tap, if he has to tap, for so much money at any one time. There is a limit. So he's lowered it from the limit of £100 to one that he feels comfortable with. So that's something, you know, anybody else who really, really wants to knuckle down and save, to stop them going and getting that, you know, pair of boots they've seen or whatever without thinking about it first. Yeah, you set a limit on your card. Good advice. Anyway, yesterday afternoon, in between cooking the tea loaf while I was waiting for it, I happened to go online and I'd had a couple of emails from the utility people saying that, you know, some energy providers are starting to drop their prices a little bit. So I went and got my trusty budget book where I write everything down, and I had a quick look at the electricity one, and I knew I was I was on the next pledge tracker, 12 months V5, and the rates for that were 24.64p a kilowatt and 50.84p a day for standing charge, which don't even get me started on that. Anyway, so I went on the website, as in the Eon, my supplier, and I put in that I wanted to have a look at other tariffs, and it immediately come up that they'd got a cheaper tariff for me. And was I interested? So I pressed yes, I'm interested. Go down so you can see the actual nitty gritty of that tariff. In other words, what it's going to cost you. All of this business where you're going to be paying £38 or whatever less a year. Yeah, that's if you continue to use the same as you are now. But have a look at the nitty gritty, the price per kilowatt and the price of the standing charge. And I've just told you what I was paying. They've now taken my standing charge down to 48p, 48.67. So that's over 2p, over 2p a day. So that alone comes to £7.50 almost a year. And then my electricity units have gone down by another 2p, well, almost 2p. It's a fraction off 2p. So all that electricity that I use in a year, which it says my average usage is 1,500. So all of those 2p's are going to add up, aren't they? So I pressed the button to change, and it immediately went over to the new rate straight away, and it said to me that they're going to drop my direct debit even lower, and I won't pay until February next year. I've got a whole year to use the bit of credit that I've got up, plus they've dropped my payment to £30, I think it was. So yeah, win-win situation. So don't accept, what I'm saying is just do not accept that you can't move off a tariff. You can, and you won't be penalised if you stay with the same company that you're with. If I'd attempted to move this tariff, I would have probably paid £50. I know with my gas one, it's actually 200. And I did go on the gas website, and there was nothing better on there at the time. But it won't stop me looking in the future. It will not stop me looking in the future. And currently, they're thinking that whereas the prices would go down in April, they think they're either going to stay the same or go up. They're not going to go down. That's what I've been reading in the paper. But read up for yourself. Anyway, that's it, all I've got to report. I hate waffling before I do a video. But yeah, I needed to pass on a few things. So the next thing is, you'll see how I made the tea loaf. When I was editing it last night, I noticed that a section of it, the speech on it had become corrupted. Now this is going to happen from time to time. It happens with people who pay for their editing suite. I don't pay for my editing suite. I've got a freebie. And as long as I keep things under control, I won't have to pay for it. It's brilliant. I love it. What is the point of me trying to save money and then I start splashing out on all of these extra things, you know? The only thing I have agreed to pay for, and that's storage on my phone. So I'm paying £2 a month extra storage so that I don't lose photos and videos while I'm waiting to post them. Because I was literally trying to juggle around with the amount of data on my phone. So yeah, that's the complicated side of this. The filming is relatively easy. It's the behind the stuff that becomes complicated. I'll leave it there, and tea loaf is next. Well, this is the tea bread that I make. I did show you in another video that I'd put 150 grams of sultanas in this bowl, filled it with hot water, and this happens to be a ginger and lemon tea bag that I've got. It doesn't matter whether it's an ordinary tea bag or a fruit tea bag, just make sure they're covered. That's been out on the side most of yesterday. I popped it in the fridge overnight, got it out first thing this morning, and as you can see, everything has plumped up beautifully. Leave the liquid, because you're going to need the liquid to add to the dry goods that you've got here. I've grated an apple, and I have put a little bit of water with it, only to stop it going brown in the interim period, because apples brown very quickly, especially this is an eating apple that I've just grated. For me, this is my recipe that I've tweaked from an old Weight Watchers recipe that was far too sweet for me. I'm not an overly sweet person, but I love the texture because I feel like I'm eating cake. So, 200 grams of self-raising flour going in. I've lost the other little peg on my sieve, which is so annoying. I've got to get a new one at some point because I can't rest it, it tips. Get that sieved in. That's all sieved in. 1 teaspoon, fairly flat teaspoon of baking powder, because I hate the taste of baking powder. So that can go. That's that. I'm using self-raising flour, so obviously it has got raising agent in it anyway. So all your dry goods first. I add 1 dessert spoon of cocoa. You can see I'm on the last legs of the cocoa because it's all a bit lumpy at the moment. Sieve that in. 1 dessert spoon. Cocoa gone in. Done the baking powder. I'm going to do 1 dessert spoon of granulated sugar. 1 dessert spoon. Because I don't take sugar in anything. My sugar often gets lumpy. I keep it in a jar, but it gets lumpy. Nevertheless, because I don't use it very often. Take that away, add another little bit because I've had to tip some away. That's lovely. If you like things slightly sweeter, add a little bit more granulated sugar to it. Just give that a mix round. So that's all the dry goods there. So all the dry goods in the bowl. Mix them round. Now we start adding the wet goods. Oh, I've missed out the chocolate. Let me just get the chocolate. Half of this was put in my blender and it's actually made it into a powder. And this is what gives it the chocolate aftertaste. So it adds a little bit of fat to it, but not much. I mean, the whole bar is 100 grams, I believe. So it's 50 grams of chocolate. Mix that in. Take the tea bag out. Can all go in. The sultanas, the liquid, everything. The apple with the liquid. Make a reservoir. It's up to you, you can add 2 eggs. I only bother with 1. Never had any problems with it. And then just try and bring it all together. If it remains dry, you're going to need to add more liquid. It should be like a sponge batter with obviously a lot of fruit in it. So don't be afraid to add some more water. A little bit at a time. Yeah, I'm going to have to add some. This holds 100 ml, so I'm just going to do about 25 at a time till it forms a nice batter and everything is blended in. See the flour from the bottom coming to the top. People are going to say, you should have used a bigger bowl. Probably. Right, tiny little bit to pour down the side there. So I've probably used about 50 mils of that. But you know what a cake batter should be like. Not too stiff, not too loose. So it looks like everything's coated fairly well there. Just going to get the tin. Get yourself a loaf tin. Piece of greaseproof paper. I'll put it on the underside of it to get the shape. Then all I do is cut to the corners. It's going to be too long sides, so I'll take a bit off either side. Turn your tin over. Push it in. Thread your flaps behind each corner. That's it. You've got your cake tin lined. Simple. Take the excess off. That's it. Cake tin done. Right. Batter here again. Give it another stir around. Now I normally get between 14 and 16 slices out of this, so it does me for just over a week. A couple of slices a day. Sometimes I'll take, when I meet up with friends on Wednesday, we meet at each other's houses, and I'll take 3 slices with me there. You can have a dip of the batter and see if it's going to be sweet enough for you. There's nothing in there that can harm you. See, that's plenty sweet enough for me. So just pour it in. Pour it in. If you've got a meat slicer, you know the ones I mean, are they the old moulinet ones? I've still got one. It was my dad's. And when this is cooked, leave it to go cold and it slices beautifully. And if you get to about day 6 and it feels a little bit on the dry side, despite having wrapped it up in foil, etc., put it in the microwave and count 10 seconds and it comes out lovely. It's lovely with fruit, as a dessert, with some yogurt on the top. I use it for a lot of different things. It just makes me think of cake. But of course, it's got the absolute bare essentials of fat in there. The only fat it's got in there is the fat from the 50 grams of chocolate you put in. Well, 50 grams divided by 16 slices. You know, you're lucky if it's 3 grams a slice, aren't you? Sorry, I don't know what went wrong with the sound, so I've had to do a voiceover. Put it in the middle shelf of the oven, set on 200 degrees for 40 minutes initially, then put a knife in it to see whether it's still wet. Keep adding 10 minutes or 5 minutes if you think it only needs an extra 5 minutes. It normally takes round about an hour. But obviously, the way your fruit takes up the liquid, etc., it can take longer in some ovens, and sometimes it can take longer anyway. This is the moulinet, meat cutter that I use to cut the loaf when it comes out of the oven. You can see how rich and dark it is inside. That's just a little bit of chocolate and cocoa powder that does that. It's made 15 slices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and one in my tummy is 15 slices. And it's a lovely moist cake, but as I say, if it does dry out, because it will dry out a little bit over the space of a week, I just put it in the microwave for 10 seconds and it revives it. It's lovely. I hope you like it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Me again. Right, people have been asking about the curtain hack. You get yourself some cardboard, about 12 inches long, something like that. Now, if you manage to get your cardboard so that the pieces run, the excuse me, the bendy section in the middle, the corrugated bit, runs across, it's going to make it easier for you to mould it into a circle like that. Now, if you don't want to remove your curtains and put these in between the pleats, it's a bit of a juggling act, but it can be done. And then once you've threaded it over your pole, I've stapled this, and staples are by far, superior, unless you've got some really good tape. And then basically this is your eyelet curtain. That's what forms the pleat, like that. Can't see it from the front, obviously, and that's what's from the back. But you can move your curtains along. If you use a toilet roll, the toilet roll tends to come through here, or they break with a heavy duty curtain. But that's what it is from behind, you can see. And you just make enough to go, for as many pleats as you've got on your curtains. The only one you can't do, or you could do a slimmer one, is the one that's the anchor at the end. That's how simple it is. You can't see anything from the front, and it's quite difficult to see anything from the back, actually. That's why I can't get my camera behind it. That's why I've had to show you it like this. But this is your curtain, and they're the circles, the rings that allow your curtains to pleat uniformly. The rings allow your curtains to hang uniformly each pleat, which, just makes them look $1 million basically. Anyway, they do to me. I love it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.